Hello there, and welcome to another episode of my Star Wars Minecraft Survival World. And today we are going to be moving on from Obi-Wan Kenobi's house, which we finished up in the last episode. And I'm going to start adding in some Tusken Raider camp huts around here somewhere. I'm thinking maybe this area, or maybe if I can make some space down in this little valley, but it's a bit small down here. So we'll see where I can put that in. And also, I have decided that when I did this island, I added in all of these armor stands all at the end, and there was quite a lot to get through. And obviously, as you can see from this R2-D2, there is quite a lot of components in there, so it took a lot of time. And this island is actually quite small compared to the Tatooine island. As you can see, it's much smaller. And I'm thinking that maybe today I will start adding in some armor stands as well around Luke's house and around the Sandcrawler and Obi-Wan's home. And I have quite a good idea for inside here, which hopefully I can make work. But let's just jump straight to making up the Tusken Raider huts. So in the end, I decided to build out a small valley for them because a lot of the time they have walls on the sides and things, as well as like a little entrance here and this questionable dinosaur skeleton skull slash Star Wars monster. I don't know what it's supposed to be, but I think it does the job as a skull, and I've never been great at building animals in Minecraft, so I'll take that for what it is. But actually, I'm happy with how the whole camp came out. Now, if you know a lot about Minecraft, you can probably guess what this area is going to be for. One clue will be the loom here, and I'm going to be making banners up here, and I'll keep my banner patterns in these chests and maybe some other items like dyes and wool and things like that. But also you might notice I put these colours at the base of each of the entrances. Now I'm thinking I probably should have made the banners the same colours because I think the yellow one looks quite good. So I'll probably swap those out. But that's because this being a small area and having small little huts and not a lot of space to fit a big farm in, I'm going to have my flower farms in here, the two tall ones for the dyes. That way they're in the area for the banners, and it was just somewhere to put them and keep this looking nice. And I think it looks quite good overall, especially having these little skeleton skulls on the pikes. And there is one more touch that I need to add into this area, which is on these ropes up here. So they've got all these ropes hanging across the top of the base, and on here I'd like to put some banners, which is also good timing for me setting up the loom here because that's what I'm going to use this area for. So we're going to try and make some skull and crossbone banners, to hang up on here, and I haven't really had a need for banners. Oops. I haven't really had a need for banners in any of the other areas in particular, and they also unrender when you get too far away. So I try to avoid using them in general. But now let's just go ahead and place in the flower farms inside of these huts. Right, I got my items here. Let's start building up these farms, and they're fairly simple. I just need to make sure I dig down enough. I wasn't sure of any other way to do this, so I've got a target block under here just to get this redstone line to connect up. So now when I place items in here, they come up into the chest. Now I need a way out. A couple of trapdoors here. And now I just need blocks to fill out the gaps. And you know what? Just for the sake of it, there's a couple of storage crates there so I can stock up on the flowers. That is an issue. Because this is powered. Ah, what have I done? I didn't test this part. That's stupid. Ah, stop. If I put a block here, and then I put the redstone torch back here instead. Now that's locked. And then I put a block here, and I didn't bring another block. I am stupid. Ooh. Right, that works better. And now yes, there we go. I've got it. So I had to move the comparator back one, just so that it wasn't powering this block, and so that the redstone torch at the back down there is powering the block behind of the dispenser, instead of the actual dispenser. And now I can cover this back up, and that should be all working. Now the thing is, it should still keep going. The way I've done it is so that the observers at the back there still work to power the dropper at the bottom, but not the actual thing, so that should work out nicely. So during last week's episode, I had a bit of a migraine pretty much the whole week. It was not fun at all, and I've still got a little bit of it now, and I don't know if it's affecting my enthusiasm for talking or not, so hopefully these episodes are still enjoyable to the best of what I can do at the moment. But I still want to play the game, even with that, so I don't really want to play the game and not be recording it. So all of these are now finished, and they're all in place, so now I need to put some bone meal in there just to get some initial dyes going. I'm going to start off with one shulker box of dye in each, because that way it's just a little bit simpler just to have one double chest worth of the dyes for each, because that's probably more than I will need for a very long time, and I always have the option to come back here and just whack some in. One cool feature with this is that if you don't want to sit there getting out the chest, you can just stand here and just pick up a lot of it if you just need some quickly. I'm going to leave these on, and then we're going to look at tidying up the place. And there is some other bits that I do need to take a look at in this area. So let me just fill in this last one, and I'll show you what I am talking about. Start that. So firstly, obviously we need to change up the colour of these banners, because I didn't think about it before, but I definitely think now that's going to look better if they're the correct colours. Then I also need to do the skull and crossbone patterns that I mentioned here. But this area also is just kind of a little bit messy. For example, if you take a look over at these moisture collectors, you'll notice these are slightly different to the original ones I made, because where these poles end, I actually extended them up a little bit more, and I think that looks way better than what I did in the original area, where it just stopped. So I need to add some end rods here. Obviously, I mentioned at the start of the episode, I want to put some armor stands. But another thing that I need to sort out, because I've finally had an idea for what to do with this stupid room up here. I'm going to be changing this room up, and we'll see how that looks when that's done. And yeah, maybe just, I might add some more of these moisture collectors just around on the surface. Maybe like one here and one up on the hill here. Just spread them around a bit to fill in the missing areas. Let's just go run through and start doing some of these tasks now to get these areas finished properly. Bruh. Bro is trying to offer me pink dye and red dye. Are you stupid? Do you see this? Do you see this? Get out of here. Alright, so I got this banner pattern here. I did put a little bit of orange coming up with a gradient just to kind of signify the sunset of Tatooine. So we need to now somehow get up there and place these down on the top on these ropes. I know they're fences. I could put some yellow carpets over the top to connect them up a bit better. I've probably put way too many, but I think that will do. And actually, with the sun setting in the background, that looks quite cool, actually. That means that the Tusken Raider area is finished. So, let's move on. Let's go sort out the cockpit in the Sandcrawler. Well, this room is now greatly improved from what it was of just the little seats. Got a little bit of a map in here. I did include some of the banners. I marked those. Those are for the colours, but it's kind of like these are targets. That's for the honey as well. So this is just like targets that they're going to next after Luke's house, and just some sort of storage at the back and some cables hanging down and things. And I just made the chair up here in the middle a little bit bigger, just like a main seat. So now I'm going to move on to, I've got some items in my hotbar, fixing up these. So this should be fairly quick to do. Can I jump over here? What did I just land on? Wait. I'm really confused now. Hang on a minute. Something's not right there. I don't know. Oh well. So I'm going to put these ones up here. And now those are finished up. Looks a lot better. Another thing that I actually forgot to do when I first set this up was around the back here. I was going to put some crack marks. I think the closer one's going to be better. Which makes it a lot easier for me because it means I can just dig out a big strip. There we go, we have some track marks coming off the back. I think it looks pretty cool. Could do with them being a little bit longer, but I don't want to take up too much space just with some dents in the ground. And one last thing to add in this area, I kind of wanted to put some little rocks around just to give a bit of variation here. Yeah, I think the rocks are good, the granite rocks, they add some colour to it, but the holes in the ground, not so much. But I think I'll leave it like that. As the last thing I need to add in is some more of these moisture collectors. I'm just going to lay out a few positions, see how I feel about it. Maybe we'll put one here. I need to sort that out. I need a piece of sand or terracotta. I'm going to put one at the top of the hill here. Just like that. There we go, we just now have a bunch of these moisture collectors spread about. Just kind of fills out the space a little bit better. I'm just going to land up here to take a look. And yeah, I mean, I'm torn between wanting to fill the space and also wanting to leave empty space, considering it is the desert planet. But I think this is probably enough in this section, which means sort of from this angle here, I'm basically done. I did want to also add the cave in down here now that I think about it. So we could do that today. But for now, let's get rid of this beacon for one. This doesn't need to be here anymore. There we go. These guys can sit at the camp for now. It's time to move on to the armor stands. So let me go grab some items and we'll start putting in some armor stands, and we're going to start with this camp here. Oh, actually, it means it's time to go boom again. So I need to go find some skins. Well, apparently my microphone was set to mute for this clip, so whatever I said is now lost to the technology. But I was just placing in some bones around some actual bone items to just go with the bone blocks that I used to make some bigger bones in there as well.
Annie? Annie?
Anakin! Anakin!
That's right. We've got Anakin here, chopping down some Tusken Raiders in his anger. And obviously we've got his mum in here. Now, I know that this is a very emotional scene in the Star Wars films. I'm not here to make a joke of it. Honestly, as I said from the beginning, I want to capture all of Star Wars, the good and the bad. And this moment right here, this is a very pivotal moment in Anakin's transformation to the dark side. So I had to capture it here, and I just can't look away from the comedic effect of this guy on the floor. I don't know if I did it right, but there we go. I will also include other bad scenes, so if you don't like that, I apologise, but that is part of what makes Star Wars great. I don't know if this is a bit much, but this is one of the more well-known scenes. So, also how I did that little lightsaber trick there is just having the on-off versions in my hand. And yeah, I mean, we put a bit of detail in here, but I didn't go so much into it like I did with the Force Ghosts. I just put a simple cape on him, and technically he has like a cream-coloured clothes on underneath the cape, but I thought it was easier to do it this way rather than trying to place all the carpets over the top. And I think this worked out nice. That's basically inside here, it's just a chest plate, the same colour as the leggings. Just a stick for the belt, and we got his little Padawan braid here as well. And actually, this is probably my favourite part here, is the bow staff for the Tuskens. Used a few random blocks here, so we got a flower pot and a pointed dripstone, and the mushroom actually worked really well for the top part, which has like a rounded bit with a little stub on it that you can hit with. And then I just tried to create a bit of a curve with 2 sticks. But let's just go through and finish up the rest of all of the Tusken Raiders in this base now, and we'll see how that looks once it's finished. Well, the Tusken Raider camp is now finished up, so let's go take a look down here and see. I've left the shulker boxes down here, so let me just get rid of these. Note to self, remove the shulker boxes before you place any armor stands in. So we got all of the bones scattered about. I've added in a bunch of the Tusken Raiders now. Why did that disappear? Anyway, so this guy's standing up here, spurring on the troops. We've got a type of gun here, which I thought was quite cool, a mixture of blocks. So once again, like the Stormtroopers in one of the previous episodes, we've put the Ezra Bridger lightsaber, the gun version, and the Darksaber together. I've also put the spyglass and a lightning rod, and a little grindstone at the back here just for a little stock. This guy also has the same gun. Then we've got this little family over here. She's kind of hiding them away. You've got the little kid in the back who's a bit scared, and then this one's shocked, and then the slightly older teenager one is trying to get involved, and she's just holding him back there. And then you just got a couple more of the guys here with their staffs coming out to help, and I added a broken down staff next to the guy who has been cut down. So that is all for the Tusken Raider camp. So let's move on to the next building, and I think we're going to jump to Luke Skywalker's house. Yeah, so I did actually, when I first built this, I intentionally put it facing this way so that the sun would set on the correct side. I know that's a bit too detailed considering this wasn't there in the original shot and neither was this, but I think something I didn't mean to do was I placed this one in earlier in this episode, not too long ago, and it actually is in about the right position for the real scene, so that's quite cool. But yeah, we've got Luke in now, staring off into the sunset, and I need to get off of this field of view because this is awful. Feels like I'm not moving. But yeah, first one in. Let's go and just fill out a few more inside of the house. It is the next day here, and it seems I'm a little bit ill, so if my nose sounds a bit blocked, I apologise for that. Just gonna have to deal with it. Otherwise, I don't know how long I would be not recording for. I only added a couple of extra bits into this area. So just around the kitchen table, we've just got the family. Unfortunately, this is the problem with using these skins. There was only a young version of Baru and an old version of Owen. So it doesn't quite match up, but that's going to have to do. We just got some bits on the table. Got a loaf of bread, some fish, melon. I know that's not really what they eat, but that's what Minecraft food is. And then we have one last spot in the house where I added some armor stands, and you can already see what's going on in here. We got the R2D2, we got Luke fixing him, and we have C3PO going down into the oil bath, and I think that looks really cool. It actually looks like he's getting submerged, especially with the way these lines are kind of squiggly. It just lines up nicely to give that impression that he's getting dunked in. But that's all for Luke's house. Now let's move on to the Jawas. Well, if you've watched any of the recent Star Wars TV shows, then you might know what this scene is from. This is the egg, and that's because I wanted to add in a Mandalorian. This is one of my favorite TV shows from the series, and I know a lot of people enjoyed it. Some mixed reviews towards the end of it, and season 3 wasn't the best out there, but for me, season 2 was absolutely peak. That moment when Luke comes back in, oh, I was with my friend and I was going crazy. That was such a good scene. And yeah, we got the little baby Grogu here. I realized I couldn't have him flying off without Grogu, so I added him in. And I know, obviously, in the scene where this occurs, he does go off on the speeder with the items for his ship to fix it. But I thought it'd be a lot cooler having the jetpack, having him flying up, and yeah, that will do for that scene. And obviously, there's no way I'm building another sandcrawler. This was way too much work. There's not enough space on Tatooine, and yeah, so I'm just gonna keep the scene here. All right, so I added a few more around here. We got a few running out to get their share of the egg, and really, I just added a few in random spots. To be honest, there should be more, but according to Google, you can get like 300 Jawas in a sandcrawler, and I wasn't about to sit here and get 300 heads, and this is quite a large space, so they're a little bit spread out. Nothing on this floor, and we just got a guy here pushing the cart, and we got a couple at the back working on these bricks. And finally, we have in the top room. Oh, yeah, we got a guy here and one guy at this little desk here. And then a few people just up in this room, one on the control station there, a couple looking at the map. This guy's telling this guy where they need to go. And then a couple in the top as well. So I didn't put too many. I can always come back and add more.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
I have done a thing. I have done a strange thing. But let's go take a look inside of this house I'm standing in front of, which you will recognize as Kenobi's house. And there we go. I now have the Leia message to Kenobi in there. And R2, again, I've made 4 R2D2s. And to be honest, it doesn't get any easier. For some reason, all of these got like armor stands were just bumping into each other and kept pushing them like 1 degree off, which just made the whole thing a nightmare. But we got all the guys sitting in their chairs here, and I think this was just a really cool idea to use the glass to make it a projection. It's at a bit of a weird angle. I had some issues trying to get Leia made because I don't know if you can see if I get to the right angle. Of course, now it's not going to do it. Basically, the heads were not showing through the glass. It was a very strange issue, but it seems okay now. So what I actually had to do was to not put the head on the armor stand that the armor is on. I had to make a separate armor stand, put the head as a hand item, and actually, it's kind of a little bit off. Yeah, that'll do. So yeah, I had to use it as a separate item and not place it as a head item because it just kept going invisible. It was really weird because it's through the glass. But that is all of the armor stands for this area now finished up. So now I'm going to do what I mentioned in the last episode. And since we made the Tusken Raider camp, now it's time to make the raid farm. Okay, well, I have been playing about with this area quite a bit. I've added in a lot of chests just to sort out all of these items, because the problem is when you don't sort them out, you end up with stacks of like 10 of them, and then it just takes up all the spaces in these double chests. So this is what I got from 3 raids so far. Just I did have some more banners, but I threw them away. This is just from 3 raids I was using for testing and a few bits here. So now I can actually leave this AFK with 64 of these. I could also set up a dispenser to give me another one every 10 minutes or so, and it could run indefinitely. But this stack of 64 is going to take about 10 hours to go through, so I'm not particularly worried. And this is the first proper test of me just leaving it fully AFK. The way I'm actually doing this is I have a macro on my keyboard. So what it does is it will, every 10.5 minutes, it will hold down the the right click button to drink a bottle. And that seems to be working well, but I guess we'll find out when I take this one. I also have an auto clicker, so I've got technically 2 auto clickers going. I'm going to have to drink 2 here. I'm going to set my auto clicker, and we will leave this and see what happens in a few hours. Oh, I need a beacon. Oh no, that wasn't good. Okay, so 1 night and 1 death later, and I did end up putting all my items in a chest, luckily, so I did save them. But if I can get down here, let's see what we got. Alright, it's a decent supply. I've obviously got a redstone farm, so I'm not really in need of that. I'm not expecting anything big in these. And these ones here. And these are the main as well. We've got the totems and a bunch of items to get rid of, which is not going to be particularly fun. But actually, one thing I realised about this farm is it's going to give me an item that I needed a long time ago. On an island far, far away, the first island we made is still missing 1 item. It's not actually finished. But now, if I remember where it is, I have that item. I finally have a witch head, so I can go put that in my mob farm storage system to complete that island. But let's just go back over there now, and I'm gonna bring some totems with me, because just in case I want to use them for anything, it's good to have them on hand. And there we go, Endor is now officially finished properly. Well, that will be all for today's episode. Thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. I have spoken.